My name's Jay and welcome back to another week in the life of Phil's V10 M3. Another weekend has passed, a little bit older, a little bit wiser, but first thing that's happened today is our parts that we dropped off last week for blasting are back. Thanks to James at Soda Blasting Limited in Wolverhampton for turning these around in a couple of days for us. Couple of minor issues, minor I will say at the moment because it didn't kill anybody. So somebody over the years, Phil seems to think it wasn't him, has filed these arms out, I guess to gain extra camber adjustment, and if this will focus on it, there's a lovely crack all the way through that one. So shame, because it looks brand new now, but that's not going to get used. Next thing is this chassis brace also has a crack in it. So my first job is I'm going to repair that crack. Everything else is back. I've been through the list of things that I dropped off and I've got it all, so that's cool. Yeah, I'm going to repair this first, so this can go out with the other parts that need to be black for powder coating today. There we go, easy as that. So that's now repaired, that can go in the out to powder coating box. So next thing I've discovered as we're going through this blasting is, I'm sure this is how they are from factory, but you know, this supports or takes the strain of the whole rear trailing arm, and they seem to leave quite a big seam open there. You know, I'm no chassis engineer, but I'm just going to weld that up. What harm can it do? Well, there we go, that's sealed the gap up. I doubt, unless you've got the sensitivity of Senna, you'll ever feel the difference, but every little helps, I guess. Right then, so walk with me because we're in a bit of a rush. Got to get these things down to Ibra at Speedwell's fast as possible because he's going to turn them around same day for us. So everything is now in the boot of my favourite vehicle that I own. It's just the best. All the bolt holes that we don't want to get powder coated in are plugged up, so I'll shut the boot and get down to Ibra's. Here we are, just rolling into Ibra's Speedwell alloys. Yeah, let's get these parts offloaded. There's the main man, Ibra, from Speedwell's Alloys. Finest alloy refurbishers in all of Birmingham town, yeah? While we're here, I'll show you, because he's always got a bit of a project on, haven't you? Show you what he's up to at the moment, what we're building at the moment.
It's a 3UZ Datsun.
3UZ?
Wide body.
No less turbo?
No. Don't tell Craig.
But yeah, there it is. Quite a fancy thing. It's been to Craig's recently for bits and pieces doing, hasn't it? So, yeah. I mean, you've got that here, and there's a Porsche around the corner, and lots of show people as well, haven't we?
Yeah, on that side.
This is pretty wild. What is it, 997? I'm not fully into Porsches, not my thing, but 997 turbo with a GT3 kit on it, which is quite exciting on the road, I guess.
I'll get on it now and then
Alright.
I'll bring them up
Alright, perfect.
later on.
Gold chrome, yeah? Thank you.
Nice one.
See ya. Right then, for my next trick, while the powder coating is getting done, I'm going to reinstall these onto Fat Pig, or whatever her name is that you lot need to tell me. So, think of a girl with an orange face and a big, fat... I probably shouldn't say that. Anyway. I'm going to put these back on that. Well, there we go, later on that very day. It's come through and we have all our newly powder coated parts back. So that's tomorrow's project, is get a subframe ready to go in the car. Today I have been mostly planning fuel system, lines and fittings and stuff are ordered for that, should be here on Wednesday, and rebuilding the front of the engine, which I haven't filmed much of because it's quite a long process, because basically everything I touch has to be cleaned or painted or refinished in some way, but it's looking a million times happier than it was. So I'm going to keep unloading the car, call that for tonight, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Well, there we go, that's that job completed. It looks a lot less like it's been left under the sea for a few years, so that's positive. Oh, excuse my cake. Let's get that out of the way, but yeah, looks respectable again. So for my next trick, I am going to take the nice solid bushings out of this and these arms, seeing as the ones that we got back yesterday, one of them's cracked, and put them into the nice fresh parts that we got back from Ibra last night. So yeah, that's going to be my next task, is get all this built ready to be put back in the car. You'll have to excuse the rain noise today, but you know, it's turned back into winter. But just now, as I'm going to start by pressing the bushes out of this subframe and swapping them directly over. But just want to note that all of these bushes are pegged with grub screws to stop them moving. So yeah, we've got to release those and then go and drill and tap the new subframe to suit. So yeah, nice little detail, I guess. Right, back from lunch now. Got the first diff bush in the right orientation in there just before I went, so that's nice and finished. These ones I've had to be careful because one of them's slotted. I can only presume to aid in twist or torque or something like that. That one has to go in the correct hole and in the right orientation. So yeah, I took myself a nice photo before I took it apart, if that's in focus. Got these lined up. The only thing left to do is get the tool out and press them all in. Well, I'd like to say that was easy, but that was an absolute mission, as you probably saw on the GoPro footage. But it's in, it lines up, so perfect apart from grub screws. Next onto the trailing arm bush. I've got one out, came out fairly easily, but it's a lovely thing. Spherical bearings and solid lump of aluminium, so these will make road driving very pleasurable for Phil. Can't wait to change them back out for standard ones in a few months. Anyway, I'm going to put them in. Well, they went in a bit easier, so yeah, one more down, 2 in each trailing arm to go. Right, morning, here we go again. Time to put the last couple of bushes or bearings into the freshly powder coated trailing arms. I've actually remembered, been thinking about this for a while, but I have got the actual tool from BMW to fit this joint. It's got a nice recess in the cup so that you don't damage the rubber seal as you push them in. So that will hopefully make this job a pleasure. We're going to use factory joints on this one just because there's nothing wrong with them and they're a metal joint. We have seen that you know, polybush companies make a replacement for this, and that doesn't really make much sense to me. So yeah, we've managed to get some genuine ones, and that's what we're going to use for this joint. Life is much better when you've got the right tools. Well, I've had a couple of deliveries this morning. All my excitement last week putting the tank in, I've got to just drop it down again because to get rid of all this mess and mainly stink in the car, because you know everybody knows that who's had a swirl pot in their car will know that it just stinks of fuel constantly. And I know you're going to say, if you use the right pipe or the right fittings it doesn't stink, but it stinks. So that's going in the bin. And we have got a Bimmerworld dual in-tank pump kit. I know that these are not the be-all and end-all for track days and whatever, but this car's long past that now, and if Phil wants to do a track day, he's got an E30 and a CSL, so this one's reserved for revving in car parks and bus lanes, I guess. But yeah, we're going to fit this. And in other news, we have some nice aluminium fuel line. As we can see, the V10 is going to run standard 8mm or 5/16 in foreign world, and if you're a man like me, you're going to run what size is that? 5/8, that's the big boy. We're going to run -10 feed on my car and -8 return. Craig has a very different opinion to me about this, but this is what I want to do, so that's the way I'm going to do it. As you can see, more evidence that the V10 is gutless, it only needs 8mm fuel pipe. So I'll get on with that soon once I finish this subframe, but you know, I was opening boxes and it felt a bit like Christmas. Right, now I've got everything installed in this subframe. As I showed yesterday, all these bushes were drilled and grub screwed. We presume from Schirmer's in Germany, so if it's good enough for Schirmer, it's definitely good enough for us. So I'm going to copy that and put the grub screws back in. So a bit of drilling and tapping, and we're ready to bolt the arms and stuff onto the subframe. Right, and so that is all of these things now drilled and tapped. Bit of thread lock on the grub screw, and if I can do this one-handed so you can all see, easy as that. Wind it in. As I said before, when it comes to BMWs, Tommy Schirmer knows best, so whatever he does, we'll be doing. So yeah, easy as that. 4 more to go, and it's time to put some arms on this thing. So there we go, thumbs up, all done. As for you, horror, your Chinese days are over, or your thread tapping days are over. Get in your new home. Right, on to the next. Well, my next task was to choose a diff for this thing, since we've got a choice of 2. We know in the E46 casing we've got the multi-plate carbonetics, good strong diff, made for men. And in here, if this will focus into the hole, we have a Torsen. What a disappointment. So looks like this one's going back into the pile of treasure around here, because nobody wants a one-tire firing V10 BMW, and we're going to be fitting the carbonetics, which, you know, it's a nice thing. We can do a little side by side now just to show you the difference between a useless diff and a good one. So in the good old days, when you bought a E46 M3, you got a proper plated diff from factory. Not the most aggressive thing in the world, but at least it had ramp angles and plates in it. And then later on in life, it seems on Google about 2007, they turned into this, which I originally thought was a Torsen, but it isn't. It's got some sort of weird oil drive inside, and anybody that's been into drifting will know that that's going to be useless, and it's going to do weird things and start doing one-tire fires and just be rubbish. So this is the carbonetics. If I can shine the light down the hole, you can see this is I think it's a 1.5 way. You can see it's hard to get on the camera, but basically there's a V here which this piece sits in. I guess that's called the cam. Sits in, and as the thing rotates, it slides up this V, which pushes the clutch packs apart and locks the wheels together. So it's a nice mechanical thing, and you know, there's no weirdness to be had. If the torque is there, the wheels are locked. This one locks less on deceleration, just to make it a bit more stable going into corners, because yeah, for anyone that doesn't know, a two-way diff would have the same V behind and in front of the cam, whereas a one-way would have just a flat top on there, and a 1.5 way's got a slight V. Yeah, if you've got a Z4M and your diff looks like that, throw it in the bin and get a standard E46 one, it'll be miles better. So yeah, on to choosing the best out of these two and building a subframe up. Oh, where's the summer gone? That's nicely had a bit of steam cleaning, and as you can see outside is pretty miserable for this. But anyway, I'll get that one blasted off so we can get on with building the thing. Lovely. Right, I've given the diff a what I'm going to call fresh from the rebuild and makeover. I'm not a complete animal like anybody that rebuilds diffs. You know, at least I took the back plate off, didn't just paint over it. Ever been there saying, ever taken your gearbox or diff to a place and said, please don't paint it, and it comes back just plastered in black paint? Well, anyway, I have. Anyway, I need to try and do something with this now, because that's hopefully going to dry matte, and this needs some love. It's a real shame I didn't think about this before I took all the stuff to blasting, because that would have been lovely blasted. But let's see what I can find to clean it up. Well, this stuff looks promising. Just reading the little tag on it: dilute 1 to 8 to water. Maximum time on the metal 1 minute. So it must be good at something. Let's see what it does to that backing plate. Well, that stuff was a bit of a disappointment. Hardly smoked and had some sort of magic reaction, but that's one coat of it. I mean, maybe it's slightly better, but I'm going to give it one more chance, and then I'm going to call it done and put this thing back together in the morning. But yeah, we'll see. Well, I think we're going to mix it a bit stronger this time, because that was just pathetic. Well, that's how it came out. I mean, better than it was, but slightly disappointing, I'd say. But anyway, I'll leave that to dry overnight, and we'll get on with refitting that in the morning. Here's what the last couple of days has been leading up to. It's finally time to make all these bits one complete rear end again. All the bolts have been soaking overnight in the special sauce, and they are, you know, happily de-rusted now, so that's nice. All the bushes are in, just waiting for some diff oil to turn up, but that shouldn't be very long. I'd like to fill it before we try and get it in the car, because yeah, that's always a mission. I've got some new wheel bearings here, new handbrake shoes and springs and all that, so only thing left to do is make this one. Just spending a little bit of time now sorting out which bolt goes in which hole, just to speed things up a little bit. Another little Schirmer trick that we've discovered is Nordlock washers on all of the subframe mounting points. So it's another one of those, if it's good enough for him, it's definitely good enough for us. So I'll reuse those, and yeah, it's now time, or I think I've got my head around everything. It's time to just bolt all these arms on and get it done. Currently having a lot of fun wrestling this thing around, but we're getting there now. Just a quick note of something that you wouldn't normally be able to do. Normally you'd have to wait until the car was on the ground to do all of these bushes and things up, just so the bush is in its right range, but because we've got 360-degree spherical bearings on everything except the inner one on this arm, I can torque everything here to the proper spec. I'll just have to do the end of that one when there's some weight on the car, but yeah, that's quite a nice bonus, you know. It'll make the driving a bit horrible, but at least I can tighten them up on the floor, so cool, I'll get on with that. Well, that's it then, end of another few days working on this thing. It's been an absolute mission, as usual, to get this thing looking like this, but every single nut and bolt has been touched, refinished, cleaned, painted, replaced, whatever, because I mean this is the state of the it as we took it apart, so it's quite an improvement. And you know, these bushes and everything were quite a long process, but yeah, next week that's going in its home, so I guess all that's left to say is what's the saying?
Like, subscribe, share.
Yeah, do that.
Buy some merch.
Rich says Driftworks. I say
Driftworks.com.
thumbs up, and from me and mine to you and yours, stay safe and enjoy your lives. See you next week.
At Driftworks, we've helped over 50,000 happy customers since 2004. Our huge online parts store is simple to use, with superb shipping rates to anywhere in the world, and finance options available for UK customers. We live and breathe wheel fitment, so if you have any questions about your own car or any of our products before placing an order, please drop us an email at shop@driftworks.com or give us a call. Thanks for watching.